The modern combat helicopter is less than 25 years old, yet it has come to dominate tactics on the modern combined arms battlefield. Here we examine the West's most significant armed helicopters, beginning with the elderly but still useful Bell UH-1 Huey, the Augusta A-109, and McDonnell Douglas Defender, the Aerospatiale Gazelle, MBB BO-105P, Westland Lynx, Aerospatiale Panther, and Augusta A-129 Mangusta. We then turn to the U.S. again to assess the McDonnell Douglas AH-64 Apache battlefield tank killer. And finally, the experimental developments being undertaken by Sikorsky towards the LHX next generation battlefield helicopter. The Bell UH-1 is universally known as the Huey and was developed just before the Vietnam War as a utility helicopter with a single medium-powered turboshaft. The low-powered initial models were used for tactical troop transport and casualty evacuation. But weapons were soon added to these and later enlarged and uprated production models. The type still serves in large numbers. The Huey operated with great effect over jungle, grasslands, marshes, and paddy fields. Whether fitted with an armament of rockets and machine guns or flying unarmed in the trooping role, the Huey became one of the distinctive sights and sounds of the Vietnam War. The conflict that turned the helicopter from a light utility aircraft into a decisive weapon of the land battlefield. The 2.75-inch rocket packs on the fuselage sides proved to have devastating firepower in support of the ground forces delivered by unarmed Hueys. The fixed and flexible 7.62 millimeter machine guns carried by the Hueys made these comparatively light helicopters a great tactical asset to the men on the ground in Vietnam, who had often to rely on the close support of armed Hueys when more heavily weaponed aircraft could not be deployed in time to meet an immediate threat. The Augusta A-109A is an impressive Italian helicopter conceived in the 1970s as a multi-role civil and military type, and its dedicated military version is the A-109K with fixed rather than retractable landing gear and a number of other improvements. As befits a type originally developed for civil and military applications, the A-109 is used most frequently for the communication and liaison roles. But the manufacturer has also developed a wide assortment of add-on armament and sensor options to turn the A-109 into a truly versatile type in the dedicated military role. Outrigger arms on the fuselage sides can carry many different weapon types, though commonest are gun pods and rocket launchers of various types. The effective use of these weapons is greatly aided by the A-109's steadiness as a weapons platform, though this steadiness at low level does not significantly impair the helicopter's considerable agility. The gun pods most commonly used by the A-109 are the FN Etna HMP or area types, each with a single 0.5-inch heavy machine gun, though the Etna TMP-5 pod with two 7.62 millimeter machine guns can also be carried. These offer the possibility of considerable fire support for ground forces over a prolonged firing run, where additional firepower can be provided by a .5-inch machine gun located in the port door. More devastating still are 51, 68, and 81 millimeter rockets, of which the A-109 can carry a substantial number in multiple launcher pods for area fire suppression. The A-109 can also carry missiles guided with the aid of a roof-mounted sight, and its exterior weapons can be replenished as the helicopter is refueled, ensuring the minimum time out of combat. Wasp-like in performance, agility, and firepower, the McDonnell Douglas 530 MG Defender has been developed from the well-established Hughes 500 MD series of light military helicopters. The Defender can carry a wide assortment of armament on its two outriggers, typical being pairs of Stinger air-to-air missiles, 7-tube launchers for 2.75-inch rockets, pods for 1.5-inch machine gun, pods for two 7.62 millimeter machine guns, and twin launchers for the devastating TOW anti-tank missile. Night and adverse weather capability can be ensured by the installation of a forward-looking infrared sensor in a chin turret so that the crew of two have a thermal image of the terrain and any targets below and ahead of the helicopter. Another advanced feature is the mast-mounted sight located in the optimum position above the main rotor so that the helicopter can hover behind cover with just the sight unit protruding. This is a position of maximum tactical concealment, yet allows the weapon operator full visibility through the trainable sight unit. Ground speed is irrelevant to the weapon delivery capability of the Defender, which can fire its whole range of ordnance at any speed from maximum down to the hover without significant loss of impact or accuracy. Using its mast-mounted sight, the Defender is an exceptionally capable anti-tank helicopter, as it can fire and guide its TOW missiles while it remains concealed from possible countermeasures. The TOW missile is a heavyweight, long-range weapon able to destroy most tanks at ranges up to 4,000 yards. The Defender, in its many variants, is an impressive and capable little machine, matching the offensive power of many larger, more expensive, and yet more vulnerable helicopters. Somewhat larger than the Defender, but still a light helicopter, is the Aerospatiale Gazelle. This was designed in the mid-1960s as a multi-role type and is used by a large number of forces for communication and liaison. But despite its reputation for vulnerability to modern anti-helicopter weapons, the Gazelle has also been developed as the SA-342M dedicated anti-tank helicopter for the French Army. The Gazelle has speed and agility, both of these factors being essential for successful low-level operation over today's mechanized and computerized battlefield. The APX-397 stabilized sight unit in the cockpit roof ensures lethal accuracy out to a range of some 4,400 yards. The heart of the SA-342M's weapon system is the primary armament of 6 hot, heavyweight anti-tank missiles delivered accurately to the battlefield by the combination of autopilot, self-contained navigation system, and Doppler navigation. The Gazelle can carry a fixed 20mm cannon, machine gun pods, rocket launchers, and could also be used in the anti-helicopter role with short-range air-to-air missiles such as the British Javelin or French Mistral. The BO-105 light helicopter was designed in the 1960s mainly for the civil market, but its advanced semi-rigid rotor system and twin-engine power plant provide excellent climb and agility, so it was not surprising that the type was also adopted for military service despite its high unit cost. West Germany's dedicated anti-tank version is the PAH-1, carrying the same basic armament of 6 hot anti-tank missiles as the Gazelle. It is also operated in conjunction with the APX-397 auto-stabilized sight in the cockpit roof. The West German Army deploys its anti-tank helicopter forces semi-permanently in their anticipated operating locations so that crews can come to know the relevant tactical features. This means that the PAH-1s can operate in West Germany's extensive woodlands with great freedom of action. These are the probable routes for a Soviet offensive against the Western Alliance. PAH-1 crews are trained to operate in small clearings and woodland gaps, and can thus prepare ambush positions from which to launch long-range attacks with the heavyweight hot missile. During the last phase of this approach, the helicopters hedge-hop forward in radio contact with the troops they are supporting. The commander checks the position of friendly forces and halts to try and get a visual sighting on the enemy. The force takes up position. Each crew is responsible for selecting its own position and target. With just the main rotor and sight raised above cover, the weapon operator can acquire the target in his stabilized optical sight and engage it before disappearing again as the target is hit. The helicopter then moves on to another position to tackle another tank. Gun pods and various types of rocket launcher can also be carried, but the specialty of the PAH-1 is dedicated tank killing with the aid of pre-designated forward operating locations where fuel can be replenished and fresh missiles loaded for another mission. The Westland Lynx is undoubtedly the best helicopter yet developed in the UK and is a trim machine of very high performance and agility. The basic Lynx has two turboshafts driving a semi-rigid main rotor and has been produced in naval and military forms. The British Army's Lynx carries 8 TOW heavyweight missiles in 2 quadruple launchers. But another type cleared for use is the wire-guided HOT. Like the PAH-1, the Lynx uses its precise handling and low-level agility for ready concealment and nap of the earth flight in the anti-tank role, especially on the Central European battlefield through which the Warsaw Pact forces might try to drive in the event of war with the NATO alliance. The Lynx can carry an extremely varied load of ordnance as an alternative to the standard fit of anti-tank missiles. For the support of troops on the ground, the Lynx can carry door or pod-mounted machine guns in .5-inch and 7.62 millimeter calibers, or packs of 81 millimeter rockets. Other installations cater for varying numbers of 68 or 81 millimeter rockets. Future developments may add short-range air-to-air missiles for self-protection, or even the escort of other helicopters over the battlefield. All important for the tank-killing role, the roof sight is stabilized to provide the weapon operator with a steady image of the target throughout the somewhat protracted flight of the subsonic wire-guided missile. The standard sight for the TOW installation is the Hughes M65, and this already capable sight is being upgraded with full night capability. The external location of the missile tubes permits rapid replacement after a mission, either with the 8 reloads carried in the cabin or from a ground source. Another tank-killing possibility for the Lynx is the transport of a team with the Milan ground-launched anti-tank missile, complete with reloads and local protection infantrymen. The 7-man team can be landed in a tactically advantageous position and then be resupplied or evacuated by the links as the situation develops. The links can also be used for the lifting of special dispensers as a slung load so that anti-tank and anti-personnel minefields can be laid quickly. Other items of equipment that can be carried include light cross-country vehicles so that missile teams have greater mobility once landed. The latest development in the Lynx series is the Lynx 3, which is larger, heavier, and usefully more powerful than the current series. The type can carry more payload than in-service models, but is designed primarily as a tank killer with a main armament of 8 or 16 Hellfire missiles. These are laser homing weapons that, once fired, steer themselves onto any vehicle illuminated by a friendly ground or air-launched laser designator. Thus, the launch helicopter does not have to remain increasingly vulnerable in the vicinity of the target so that the weapon operator can control the wire-guided missile he has just launched. If the Lynx 3 enters service, it could be fitted with a number of advanced sensors, as well as capable defensive items such as chaff and flare launchers, plus an infrared suppression system. A comparative newcomer to the combat helicopter market is the Aerospatiale SA-365M Panther, which was introduced in 1986 as the land warfare version of the SA-365 Dauphin multi-role helicopter. The Panther retains the twin-engine power plant of the Dauphin II variant, and for a battlefield helicopter is unusual in having retractable landing gear. The Panther has a number of advanced operational features, but just as important is the latest technology in main rotor construction, using advanced and largely automated manufacturing processes. Each blade is built up on the basis of 2 carbon fiber spars with a carbon fiber skin over a sandwich filling of Nomex honeycomb. The blade is protected and strengthened by a leading edge of solid glass fiber fitted with an anti-erosion sheath of stainless steel. Extensive structural and dynamic testing proves the quality of the blades, which are then fitted into an advanced Starflex rotor hub. The result is a rotor system of considerable accuracy and great resistance to accidental or combat damage. In the air, the Panther is fast and agile, and the type can carry the typical assortment of weapon types fielded by modern combat helicopters. These range from fuselage-mounted cannon pods via machine gun pods and rocket launchers to anti-tank weapons such as 8 hot and tow missiles used with roof-mounted sights such as the APX-397 series, and perhaps in the future, self-defense or escort missiles such as the Matra Mistral air-to-air type. Like the Lynx, the Panther has a capacious fuselage, which offers itself for the tactical transport and missile team roles when the helicopter is not being used as a dedicated weapons platform. Other options are advanced thermal and/or low-light level TV sensors for total day and night capability. Designed in the 1970s with the Italian Army in mind, the Augusta A129 Mangusta is Europe's first custom-designed anti-tank helicopter. Though it is much smaller and lighter than comparable American and Soviet tank hunters, the Mangusta follows the American design lead in using a slim fuselage with the weapon operator below and forward of the pilot so that he has the best possible fields of vision. The Mangusta's other primary design features are armament on 4 hardpoints under the stub wings and a twin-engine power plant driving an advanced rotor system designed to resist anti-aircraft fire of up to 23 millimeter caliber. The fuselage was designed with easy maintenance in mind, and redundancy combines with protection to reduce the A129's vulnerability to ground fire. Current Mangustas have their sensor systems in the nose, and these comprise a pilot's night vision system and a weapon operator's tow sight with additional thermal imager. Such a location may make aerodynamic sense, but is tactically senseless, as use of the sensors means that virtually the whole helicopter has to be raised above cover. It is likely, therefore, that the sensors will be relocated to a mast-mounted site already tested on prototype helicopters. The primary anti-tank missile used by the A129 is the TOW long-range missile. The Mangusta can carry 8 of these powerful weapons, though other possibilities are 8 hot, wire-guided, or 6 Hellfire laser homing missiles, all carried on the outer hardpoints. The inner hardpoints generally carry cannon or machine gun pods and rocket launchers, though short-range air-to-air missiles are a possibility in years to come. The Mangusta is easy to maintain in the field, and great thought is being given to a possible Mark II version produced in collaboration with some of Italy's European NATO partners, probably with far greater power, plus a later generation of sensors and weapons to make optimum use of the A129's undoubted performance and agility. The Sikorsky UH-60 Blackhawk was planned from the late 1960s as an eventual replacement for the Bell UH-1 Huey series. However, the costly Blackhawk is being procured in numbers smaller than those planned, while the Hueys are being refurbished for service into the next century. Nevertheless, the Blackhawk is rapidly becoming the U.S. Army's premier tactical transport. The type can carry a full squad of 11 infantrymen at comparatively high speed over useful tactical distances, and also offers all-weather operating capability combined with advanced defensive features. The Blackhawk is also able to operate effectively in all climatic and geographical situations in which the U.S. Army is likely to operate, thanks to the power and versatility of its specially developed General Electric T700 turboshafts. The Black Hawk can also double as a freight helicopter, its internal volume being supplemented in this role by the type's external hook, which allows the carriage of 8,000 pounds, including items such as light vehicles, pieces of artillery, and fuel bladders. The Black Hawk is designed for fast, low-level operations over the battlefield, and therefore sports a number of defensive features such as a radar warning receiver, a chaff and flare dispenser, and infrared countermeasures. In the design and testing phases of the Black Hawk's development, great emphasis was placed on airframe and crew survivability. The airframe and fuel system were thus designed to be capable of sustaining fairly high velocity impact with the ground, and vital systems and structures were produced with ballistic tolerance to machine gun and even light cannon fire. Maintainability is also a key feature of the Black Hawk, and major components are located so that easy field maintenance is possible without special equipment. Also used by the U.S. Army is the EH-60A electronic warfare model. This has the ALQ-151 Quick Fix 2 system for the interception, monitoring, and jamming of the enemy's battlefield communications. This important variant is readily identifiable by its extra antenna, which include a retractable whip under the fuselage. Night and adverse weather operations are standard to many Army requirements, and the Black Hawk is moderately equipped for this role. The HH-60A Combat Search and Rescue variant is better equipped, however, with Doppler navigation and inertial navigation system, night vision goggles, and forward-looking infrared displaying a thermal image on the cockpit multifunction displays. Early operations showed that the capabilities of the Black Hawk were underutilized, and the external stores support system was developed to enhance capabilities. This ESSS comprises a pair of strut-braced wings that can be fitted in the field without undue difficulty. These wings have 4 hardpoints able to carry drop tanks and a useful assortment of weapons. Typical weapons are the M56 mine dispenser, launcher pods of various types for 2.75-inch rockets, machine gun or cannon pods, and launchers for anti-tank missiles such as the wire-guided tow or laser homing Hellfire types. The 4 M56 dispensers are a particularly important tactical load and allow the Black Hawk to lay a 250,000 square foot minefield in a single operation. Despite this apparent maturity, the Black Hawk is still a young design and thus full of growth potential, largely in terms of maximum takeoff weight. Such growth would allow the carriage of greater loads through the adoption of more powerful engines, with the Anglo-French RTM321 turboshaft a possible replacement for the T700. The type is already under development in other versions, including the SH-60 Seahawk naval model, and there is clearly a useful future ahead for this capable Sikorsky helicopter. The Sikorsky S-76 was designed largely for the civil market, but such has been the success of this design in terms of performance and range with a substantial payload that the company has funded the development of the H-76 Eagle military derivative. The type uses some of the technology from the UH-60 Blackhawk and can readily be developed for a number of applications. As a utility transport, the Eagle can carry 11 troops or be used for casualty evacuation. In the tactical close support role, it can operate with typical weapon loads of gun pods and/or rocket launchers. In the tank-killing role, it can be armed with Hellfire or tow missiles, the latter requiring the installation of a roof or mast-mounted Hughes M65 tow sight. And the type can also be configured for naval warfare with anti-ship missiles or anti-submarine torpedoes plus appropriate sensors. Great emphasis has been placed on survivability. The structure and occupants are therefore protected by special armor and structural features. Systems redundancy is built into the helicopter, and items such as crash-worthy fuel tanks feature highly in Sikorsky's promotion of this attractive and most capable machine. A considerable attraction for potential buyers is the Eagle's great versatility. The combination of roles such as casualty evacuation and tank killing within a single airframe offering great cost-effectiveness to countries unable to afford several role-dedicated helicopter types. Early experience in Vietnam persuaded the U.S. Army that the UH-1 needed an escort, and here Bell stepped in with the company-funded Model 209 gunship development of the Huey. The new helicopter retained the dynamic system of the successful UH-1B and C models, but married these to an exceptionally slim fuselage that seated just 2 crew members in tandem, with the weapon operator below and forward of the pilot for the best possible fields of vision. The Huey Cobra was rushed into production and service, and the helicopters were delivered to Vietnam on small transports for local assembly and rapid delivery to operational units. This AH-1G Huey Cobra also pioneered a new concept of armament, with a turret under the chin controlled by the weapon operator and 4 hardpoints under the stub wings for gun pods and rocket launchers controlled by either crew member. The Huey Cobra was designed to escort troop-carrying UH-1s and then to use its superior speed for a quick dash to the landing zone. Here, the ground defenses could be softened up with a mixture of 7.62 millimeter minigun and 2.75-inch rocket fire just before the troop carriers arrived. The Huey Cobra proved itself more survivable than the basic troop carrier, for its combination of performance and small size, offered the Communist forces a minimal target. The AH-1 was thus one of the major U.S. successes of the Vietnam War, and the type has remained in service since that time, successive marks adding new features and increasing performance. The Huey Cobra's role was fully defined in Vietnam, and once the troop carriers had left the scene, the Huey Cobras remained on station to provide friendly forces with all the close support they needed. The support could be called in as required by the ground force commander and delivered both quickly and with great accuracy. By using established technology, the Huey Cobra is a simply maintained helicopter. This factor is augmented by a number of easy access features so that field maintenance is a simple process. Greater engine power has also been provided over the years, allowing the Huey Cobra to carry larger loads of an increasing assortment of weapon types without degradation of performance. The basic airframe has also been developed into a powerful twin-engine multi-role gunship for the Marine Corps, and as the current AH-1S Huey Cobra close support and anti-tank helicopter for the Army. Over the years, the armament fit has been greatly improved. The underwing hardpoints can carry items such as the M35 kit with a 6-barrel 20mm cannon plus 1,000 rounds of ammunition. This provides greater standoff attack range, as does the use of a new chin turret with a 3-barrel 20mm cannon or even a 30mm cannon in place of the original type fitted with a 7.62mm minigun and a 40mm grenade launcher. In the area attack role, the Huey Cobra's most important weapon is the 2.75-inch rocket, and a full complement of these devastating high-velocity weapons has the same effect as a 38-gun howitzer barrage. Complementing the Huey Cobra is the Army's latest attack helicopter, the AH-64A Apache. This was developed by Hughes, now a part of the McDonnell Douglas Company. The Apache is an angular but effective machine optimized for the battlefield tank killing role. The type possesses the power for high performance over the battlefield with a very impressive warload of missiles and other weapons. The type also possesses powerful and effective flight controls and an extremely advanced suite of sensors for all-weather, low-level operation over the modern battlefield. Here, too, the Apache is aided by a state-of-the-art fire control system for use with the fearsome primary armament. The Apache's most important weapon type is the Hellfire missile, of which 16 can be carried. This is a long-range fire-and-forget weapon that homes automatically onto a target designated by a friendly laser. Apart from its range of more than 6,500 yards, the Hellfire is notable for its large warhead, which is thought capable of defeating the armor of all current tanks. The Apache also has a powerful 30mm chain gun on a flexible mounting under the fuselage. This has 1,200 rounds of ammunition, sufficient for about 2 minutes of sustained fire, and provides the Apache with an effective standoff capability against less well-armored battlefield targets, such as armored personnel carriers. Area attack is also possible with 2.75-inch rockets, of which some 76 can be carried in place of the quadruple Hellfire installations. The Apache is notable for its complex avionics and sensor system, including the integrated helmet and display sight system. This is a helmet sight used by both crew members for the rapid acquisition of targets off the flight path. Targets are designated to the fire control system through the slaving of weapons and sensors to the head movement of the pilot or weapon operator. In the nose is the sensor group associated with the weapon operator's target acquisition and designation system. These sensors comprise direct view optics, a TV camera, a laser spot tracker, and a laser ranger designator. Information is fed to a cockpit display or onto the monocle of the helmet sight, allowing the weapon operator to acquire and track either manually or automatically any selected target. On the upper portion of this trainable sensor group is the forward-looking infrared unit for the pilot's night vision system. TAD's information allows full night and adverse weather flight capability and can be switched to the pilot in the event of PNVS failure, and the weapon operator has access to the PNVS if required. These sensors are aided by an advanced navigation and flight control system using a simple inertial navigation platform, a Doppler navigation system, and an auto-stabilization system. The Apache is also a highly survivable helicopter, notable for an exceptionally strong structure with considerable armor protection and redundancy to withstand hits from ground fire of up to 23mm caliber. Further protection is given by the Apache's radar warning receiver, chaff and flare dispenser, and infrared jammer. These combine with the Apache's nap of the earth flight profile to afford a considerable degree of protection from ground-based defenses. All are features of considerable importance to the Apache, which is an expensive machine designed to operate decisively in a high-threat environment. Physical features that also contribute to the type's survivability are the wide spacing of the twin turboshaft power plant, a ballistically tolerant structure for the airframe and rotor system, self-sealing and crash-worthy fuel system, and a number of other advanced features such as a run-dry dynamic system. All these factors were fully evaluated and proved during the Apache's protracted development, and the result is a capable helicopter which is nonetheless fairly simple to maintain in the field. Major items are readily accessible by means of low height or inbuilt platforms. Considerable internal fuel capacity can be supplemented by external tanks under the hard points, and the Apache can thus ferry itself over considerable distances, such as the route across the Atlantic to Europe. The Apache was also designed with air transport in mind, and can be broken down for movement in aircraft varying in size from the C-130 Hercules tactical transport to the C-5 Galaxy strategic freighter. The future of tactical helicopters is currently at a fascinating stage. and the USA in particular is pushing ahead with the development of several key ideas for the proposed LHX combat helicopter. One of two such aircraft currently flying in the research program is the Sikorsky S-75. Among the features being pioneered is all-composite construction for greater strength combined with lighter weight, easier as well as cheaper manufacture and maintenance, and the possibility of reduced radar signature. Computer-aided design is allowing LHX research to progress with speed and accuracy. A key feature of this is to design the helicopter and its systems as an integrated whole, rather than, as at present, developing individual features and then trying to fit them together, an expensive and potentially wasteful method. This effort holds out the promise of a single crew helicopter with all the capabilities of current two-seat types, and the possibility of far greater capability with the introduction of new sensors, millimeter wavelength radar, and other advanced features in a high visibility cockpit. Such a cockpit is being pioneered by Sikorsky in its Shadow research helicopter. This Sikorsky Helicopter Advanced Demonstrator of Operator Workload is an S-76 with a prototype single-seat cockpit grafted onto its nose, with sensors feeding data to the pilot via a helmet-mounted display, a head-up display, and head-down displays. Such, then, are the West's most important armed helicopters, which are threatening the dominance of the tank on the modern battlefield. They vary from the elderly to the latest, and from the comparatively cheap to the exceptionally costly. These latter have very versatile weapons and sensors and are paving the way for a new generation of helicopters with great capabilities in several armed roles.